Hey traders, wanted to go over actually a couple different plays. Today was a pretty huge day, and so let's get into a little bit of it. I've been talking to quite a few different people, and um, it's almost like they don't know that their charts move, and so I wanted to make sure that as you guys are watching this video, you notice how much I'm moving around on the chart, some of the different stuff that I'm looking at, everything, and so I'm going to take a quick peek a little farther out. So on the hourly chart, this is kind of interesting. So early in the day, we kind of see that. We've seen there's been a little bit of movement, but each time it kind of fails throughout the day. So that's interesting. But specifically, let's look at what happened this morning. So this was our first call out, and again, 6:32 Central Time, but 7:32 Eastern Time. And so this was called out. It needs to hold 304 and then break those levels. And so 304 is right here. And so we see that right here it broke it and pretty well started climbing. So zooming in on this level, we start seeing some positive momentum on the lowers, or positive momentum here, positive TTM. We see that it's still it's popping above the VWAP. It's holding the 80 MA. Overall, some nice things. So I do like an entry uh, around here, and if you held that, great. Um, I want to talk about right here, and so if you're right here and it starts to fail, what do you do? You know, do you take the 440 price, or do you um, hold down to the 80 MA or to the 21 or 34? You got some options, and so maybe this kind of scares you because you see dark blue, you see the momentum fading. But if you held here, you did pretty well. And then here are the next levels called out. And so 54, it's that right there. And so not much strength over this, a little bit of candle body, mostly just wicks. And then it starts failing. And so, you know, if you sold anywhere around that, I totally understand. Or if you said I want to hold on to it and see what happens, because I got a pretty good position. I mean, if you got a 320 entry, let's say, you know, you got around in here, so you're well in the money. I mean, you've done very well so far. So even if it pulls back, you know, unless it just hemorrhaged or something and fell all the way back, you can risk to the 21. If you risk down to the 21, then you'd made 80 cents or so. Now that's not nearly as good as here, but um, maybe you just chose to hold. You'd have another opportunity. But here's the thing: when you hold to some of these resist levels, some of these lower EMAs, you're not guaranteed that this happens again. Sometimes you have to sell down here, and so it touched the 34 a couple times, but then it went pretty well up again, and then it holds this 21 real well right along in here, and it just kind of keeps running. Here we're calling out the fact that we already had it in the low threes, and so you know, if you are seeing this is bullish and starts to go down, and you're seeing negative on these, but it's holding that 21, then you know maybe you do risk a little more. And like I said, in this case, if you risked a little more, you made a little more. But that's the nature of risk: is sometimes you win, sometimes you don't. And so, how do you know that it's going to stop at pre-market open? Well, you need to be real cautious about the open of it anyway. You've already had a really great run. You've already made quite a bit of money, really, no matter how many shares you're using. And overall, we see that it needs to hold 551 and then those are the levels that we want to see it break. 551 is right in here, right around the 34 and 55 as well. And so as you start to see that failing, maybe that's when you take your exit, or these purple arrows, they kind of help you as well to spot a possible exit. This could have been one that would have hit that $10-15 if it had the kind of gas to keep going up through the market open. I'm interested to see how this plays out tomorrow. I would have expected to see this fall away quite a bit more. It pretty well just started sticking within a couple deviations of the VWAP, and so I do find that pretty interesting. So that was one of the plays. And again, I mean, we're talking low threes within the first 20 cents of $3, all the way up to 6.20. I mean, you get a $3 entry and you can sell for 6. That's insane. Well done. Most people spend 7-8 years trying to get 100% return, and you did it in 2 hours. Well done. Here we have Pioneer Power Solutions, another interesting one. We started talking about this right at market open, and I know people are quite a bit confused about first VWAP, second VWAP, third VWAP. And so if we take this out to the daily, kind of zoom in, you'll notice where's the VWAP on this day, and you'll notice it lines up perfectly with that line. And this was a pretty high volume day. This is another high volume day, although it's kind of hard to tell on this chart. But that VWAP lines up with the VWAP from that day. And the same thing over here. So what's going on? We're plotting these days where a lot of volume happened, and then we're figuring out the volume weighted average price, because odds are there's people here, whether they were long positions or short positions. And so if it goes above that price, the shorts are mad and the longs are happy. And if that's the case, maybe the shorts close their position. Well, what happens when shorts close their position? They have to buy. And what happens when you have an increase of buying? It's possible the price goes up. So that's a little kind of the psychology behind those levels. Very important to know. So we have 10.07, and then 10.19, 31, 52, 79, 11. You can kind of get the picture. And so that 10.07 level is really where we want to see it held. And so it goes for it. We said that it needs to break 10.19, 10.31, 72, 79, or 52, 79, 11, things like that. And so it gets into the 80s, but then it starts to fail. And so when you see it start to fail, maybe you try to hold that 79, and if it doesn't, then set your stop at 52 maybe. And if you did that, you made about maybe 40 cents or so. And then at that point, it's just waiting game again. And the next kind of point of interest is right here. Although we're below the 55, so we don't want to trade it. Below the VWAP, so that's a macro level that maybe we're not paying too much attention to. Pre-market high is probably right around in here anyway. So there's multiple reasons why we're not that interested in that green. And then kind of the same one in this one. And you say, but that would be the right time to buy. Well, yeah, we know that now. But at the time, it was pretty hard to guarantee. And so what we want to do is we do want to wait for a proper entry. And so we start seeing above this 55 and see it kind of hold some support a little bit. We see positive. It's that 1022 numbers called out. And so that's actually down here. And so really anything right in here would have been killer. And so if you get up over here, then it kind of fails it. Then you're nervous right here. But overall, like I said, you get something in here. And then from there we see just a massive move. And so it's kind of funny because you had $3 from the first move and then another move, and I mean within, let's see, 90 or 39 to 55, you know, less than half an hour, you're seeing a $4 move. And so we start seeing that the numbers are called out, but by 12, 12 was the highest level, and it hits that on its way up to halting. And we should probably talk about halts for a second. Trading halts occur every now and then, and if you're day trading, you'll see it more often. And what it does is it gives an opportunity for everyone to kind of calm down a little bit. And so it doesn't always work, but they try. And so what'll happen is out of the halt, um, the price can really go anywhere. And so on a green candle, the bottom tells us to open, and so it opened here, and I'm assuming it pulled back pretty far, but it didn't even hit the base of this candle, and so that's what we call a failed breakdown. So it tried to break down, but it just had too much upward momentum. Spikes to the top, and there's no wick on it, so we know that the very second that hit, it opened right there, and it kept going up, and then kind of broke down, and then you have those levels. And so I gotta move that a little bit. So those are the resistance levels called out so far, and once those failed, then these were the new resistance levels: 37, 50. So we see once it tried to hit 50 and then pulled back to 37, maybe you hit that one. If you didn't hit that one, then the next lowest one, which would have been 14. Round numbers are typically support and resistance levels as well, as called out. And so that's probably where you would have wanted to sell. Now you say, well, maybe I want to risk down to the 34 or the 21. Well, you can absolutely do that, but this is one of those times where it does fail. And so instead of getting a 14 sell, you risk down, and you had a 12.41 sale, or maybe even a $12 sale, right? And so you'd have missed $2 or so in your profit. And then here we go with the other one. Keep in mind, all these things are happening at the same time. The very first play that we went over really died right at market open, but these other plays were just back to back to back, overlapping. It's just insane, right? So right off the bat, we see needs to break and hold 1865. So that's down. That's down in here. This was the first mention of it in our group. Let's see, at 835. Okay, so we found out that it halted, and then that was the unhalt, and so you had about 5 minutes or so to look at this. Unhalt hits there, pulls back, and then pretty well goes on a wild run after that. And we had all the way up to 21.22 as the numbers it needs to hold. Well, it didn't take long to get past that, and so that's when we got the new updated numbers. 25.55 was the highest resistance level that we posted, and then immediately after that we had at 8:44, 9:44 Eastern time, we had 22.13 hit, so we were kind of calling out that these are actually getting hit. 23.37 and all the way up to 29, just insane. And then we kept calling it out, but it's kind of hard to show too much. And so this is Bull saying that he took a 31.40 exit, and then we kept talking about it later up into the 35s. And so on this particular play, pretty well held, really well all the way up, and then it starts fading. And this is an interesting part. And so we have all the way up here, but the momentum and the TTM and the momentum are nothing compared to the size that they were at. And so to me, that says that there's a lot of um, it's up here, but it's not like it's up here because there's a lot of pressure on it. And so falling away is kind of the natural next step. And so that's how I'd have read that play. And then from then you see the VWAP just it doesn't get a whole lot of steam above it. It tries it over here, but it doesn't. And I've seen too many people try to time it again, and so it'll be coming like so right here. You'll see someone that thinks that it'll continue upward, and you got to get past that. You got to quit. You got to quit thinking that this is guaranteed to happen again. And the worst part about it is 9:30. You're focusing on this. Well, 9:30. How great of an opportunity would have been looking at other stocks. Your time is so valuable, so don't waste it looking at the wrong thing. You know, keep moving your charts around, keep looking, keep fishing, keep hunting. You want to keep paying attention to this stuff because you never know what another stock's doing. You fall in love with one stock, and then you know it really sucks being the person to be focused on 9:30. Oh, it's going to keep going, and I bought here at 31.22, and then it keeps going down. Oh, I sold here at 26, and so 31 to 26, I lost $5, and well, sure enough, while you were losing $5, someone else was making $4. It's kind of the nature of trading, and so that's why we like to go over these things so that you kind of see what's going on, what different people are seeing and looking at. I hope you guys are getting better at noticing different things, and so as you kind of go down the chart, when you're looking, do you see a double top right here, and then this is pretty close to it, and so my high is 12.99, my high right here is 12.99, my high right here is 12.97, and so within 2 cents of each other we have top, 2 cent lower, top, same as this one. You notice double tops right here. Well, not quite double tops, but 1 cent away. It's worth noting. You need to be able to see these things. So a little bit longer video, but we also went over 3 different plays, massive plays today, December 9th. And that's how we played them. And so if you were in the group, you were probably talking about it and seeing what's going on. I know quite a few of our members made some good money. Probably even had a couple salaries made today off of those types of plays. And so I wish you all the absolute best. Have a great one. See ya.